Good day to you, students. Today we will continue with the eighth stanza of Ode to a Nightingale by John Keats. Yesterday we had done a couple of lines and we saw how the first word of the stanza, forlorn, had jolted the poet and brought him back to the world of reality. It had acted like a kind of an alarm bell, and his dream, his vision, his preoccupation with the bird and its world had been broken, and he was reminded of his own forlorn condition. Moving on, the third line, he says, Adieu, the fancy cannot cheat so well as she is famed to do, deceiving elf. So, here, adieu is a French word which means goodbye, and fancy means imagination. And in this line, he says that fancy has not been able to cheat him, or fancy has not been successful or effective in taking him or keeping him permanently in the world of the nightingale. So he calls it a deceiving elf. Elf is a supernatural spirit, a kind of jester known for its pranks and mischief. And these elves are short in stature, and with their pranks, they also create amusement. And one such character of an elf was in Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, and the name of this elf was Puck, and it had significantly influenced the events of the play with his mischief and pranks. So, similarly, here also fancy or imagination has played tricks with the poet's mind and taken him, distracted him, and taken him into the world of the nightingale, had played mischief with it. Next, we move on. Adieu, adieu, thy plaintive anthem fades past the near meadows, over the still stream, up the hillside, and now 'tis buried deep in the next valley glade. So here he is saying that although fancy is very famous for being able to create new worlds, but it has not been successful at permanently making the poet escape into another world. And in this line, the repetition of the word adieu, adieu means that the bird has receded, its song has receded, it has become fainter, and the poet finally bids goodbye twice more to the nightingale by using this French word which means goodbye, and he calls the song of the nightingale as a plaintive anthem. So the bird's song now becomes a plaintive anthem. Plaintive means sad, and anthem, when it is taken away from its religious or national connotations, it has another meaning which is uplifting. So, this song of the nightingale, which the poet calls as a plaintive anthem, did uplift the poet for some time as the bird sang it and created exquisite music, And while the poet is still under the influence of the song, he can still hear it over all these things, where he hears it from the nearby meadows as it flies over the meadows, as it flies across a stream, as it goes up a hill into the next valley, and then he is not able to hear it at all. In the next valley glades, was it a vision or a waking dream? Fled is that music, do I wake or sleep? So the poet says that the bird has left, and the speaker, that is the poet, is not sure if he had ever entered the nightingale's world at all. He thinks that maybe the experience was just a waking dream and not really true. So, by this line, he is in a way questioning the validity of this experience. Everything seems to be very puzzling and confusing for the poet, as he doesn't know what is true and what is fanciful. He wonders if he's awake or asleep, and this is his condition of bewilderment when he is unable to know the difference between reality and dream. The poem ends with a question, and that is the beauty of the ode.